Good morning. My name is Eva Moskowitz. I'm the founder and CEO of Success Academies. Thank you, parents, for being here again. I'm sorry I'm a little emotional. Wanted to deliver for you. We worked really, really hard to do that. You deserve a school. I cannot believe we're here again. So I'm sorry. Just days ago, and I'm sorry I'm a little emotional, but to have to fight this hard for something that you've already fought for and won again. Our kids are graduating from elementary school tomorrow. School starts in 10 weeks. I am the mother of 3, and I understand that this is an outrage. You want to have a school for your children. This uncertainty, which is completely unnecessary, is an outrage. Just days ago, in a complete about-face, the city informed Success Academy that a middle school that had been okayed to open next year was no longer approved. In fact, they said that if our children entered the building, they would be quote unquote trespassing. The DOE has decided to evict 70 children due to begin 5th grade at SA Lafayette Middle School only 10 weeks from now. The de Blasio administration throwing kids out onto the street. Does this sound familiar? But this might be a new low for the mayor. On the last week of school, days before graduation from an elementary school, the city suddenly decides that 70 children must leave Success classrooms that have been in the building since 2016. Can you imagine how the mayor would react if this was his own child? There is no practical reason to evict these kids. There is only a bureaucratic excuse, an unnecessary insistence on paperwork that City Hall is using against kids. I want to be very clear because this was incorrectly reported this morning. Success is not asking for more space. We are simply converting classrooms that we have been using for 2 years. Instead of grades K to 4, the classrooms will serve grades 5 to 8. Let me walk you through this situation because it's a little complicated. As many of you know, Success remains very short on middle school space, especially in Brooklyn. And remember, we're not looking for a space for 1 year. Our middle schools are 5 to 8. So we need space for the duration of the middle school. Our parents in Cobble Hill and Williamsburg, for example, have waited on a permanent middle school location within a reasonable commute for 4 long years. Earlier this year, the DOE agreed to let us open 4 middle schools in the city. One of those middle schools was supposed to be in District 15, but in January, the city claimed they needed more time to get a location. With no other space available, we made the very difficult decision to convert one of our Bed-Stuy elementary schools into a middle school. The city approved the plan, and we called the middle school SA Lafayette. Meanwhile, the Panel for Educational Policy had voted to close the co-located district school in the building, which is PS 25. Normally, when a charter school is co-located with another school, you need a legal document called an educational impact statement that governs the arrangement. But after the vote, that became unnecessary according to the Department of Education because our school was the only one authorized by the PEP to use the building. But then the closure of PS 25 was challenged in court, and in late May, a judge ruled that PS 25 remain open another year while the case unfolds. So at the behest of the mayor, the city is now saying a new EIS must be approved. Oh, and it just so happens that there isn't enough time before the start of school to approve one. Oops, we have to evict the kids. What kind of logic is this? This is wrong. Our school actually remains the only one authorized by the PEP to use the building. So we do not believe that a new EIS is required. But even if this were the case, there's another solution here. The city is permitted, in the case of an emergency, to temporarily change a school building's utilization. The law envisioned just this kind of circumstance where there was some emergency, and so the mayor, all he has to do is to use his emergency powers. If this were a district school, you better believe the mayor would be using his emergency powers. He wouldn't simply evict children from a school. The city refuses. And among the many frustrations is that there is so much capacity in this building. So the mayor is proposing to leave the building open while these 70 kids are homeless? There are 900 seats in this building. No district kid would be displaced. No district kid would lose any space in this building. Not only is there space, but this school would be something very rare in Brooklyn that the mayor has said is very important to him. It's certainly important to me, and it's certainly important to our parents. This school will be very diverse and incredibly high performing. 99% of these students passed their state math exam last year, and 96 passed their English exam. They come from Cobble Hill, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights, Bensonhurst, Williamsburg. They come from all backgrounds. These families behind me went through our middle school placement process, and they deserve a school, one that they chose, and one that will help their kids thrive. Mr. Mayor, we call on you to do what is right and best for these families, rather than indulging in power politics at its absolute worst. Thank you. We are now going to hear from parents directly.